ounce, and this is a gold. What is it? Eagle, American gold eagle, and that's 900. Right, that's a kilogram of silver. This is going to be close to $20,000 for this gold.
Hello, Robert. Cheers. Back at the Rich Dad Radio Show. The good news and bad news about this here. This is cash and this trash. So today we're going to be talking about the hottest subject on the market today. And it's not real estate. What it is here is this is gold. And this is silver. And of course there's Bitcoin. So those are the three things. And the reason that the hottest subjects on the earth right now is because our money is fake. And the reason that the hottest subjects on the earth right now is because our money is fake. So this is one of my favorite books here, Fake. I'll tell you a quick story before we get into why gold, silver, and Bitcoin. Is that I was at Safeway, and I'm kind of a guru at the salad counter at Safeway, and all the women were coming up to me going, hey, what should we invest in? What should we invest in? And I just happened to have in my pocket here, this is a pre-64 U.S. quarter. And it's given to me by my friend Daniel Samuelson he's in Austin, Texas. He's American Gold Exchange in Austin, Texas, Dana Samuelson. So he knows I'm a silver nut. So this is a pre-64, and pre-64 means it's silver. After 64, it became fake money. It became this here. So I held this up here to the ladies. They want the hottest tip. I said, buy this here. They went, oh, a quarter? I can afford a quarter. I said, yeah, but I'll charge you $3 for it. And you should have seen their brains. The salad was flying all over the place. Why did you charge me $3? And I said, yeah, I'll tell you what, $2. They were screaming, not screaming, but just, why would I pay you $2 for a quarter? And I said, but this is pre-64. They just could not figure it out. And that's the lesson of today, is that people don't know that our money is fake. And that's why the rich dad exists and all this. But the sad thing about it is that AARP turned on my article because I always told my mother I used to save real quarters, because when I was 17 years old in 64, I saw the quarter go to copper. It was fake. It was an alloy. So I started collecting dimes and then quarters and half dollars. I had this big bag of real silver.
ให้มันน้ำให้ก่อน
And my mother said, what are you doing? I said, this is real money. So this is 64, 65, I go to school in New York. 66, I come home, my mother spent it all. And so I wrote the story for AARP. They turned it down. I said, the lesson is poor people are poor because they don't know fake money.
Oh, จะไปกดไหนกันครับ This is my olive oil. Okay.
ฝนตกอ่ะ
เหมือนน้ำพอร้อนออริกาโน่ cinnamon golden fat โกจิเบอร์รี่ว้าว ใช่นี้คือทุกthis is black mulberry everyone mulberry first time in my life I will taste some of them
ตู้เติมเงิน5,247ให้ลูกตรงๆมัน
ยังไม่ได้กบยอดเลยอัลมอนด์
น้ำร้อนแน่เลย
แอนทิเคนพ่อเขาด้านกลับแล้วเนี่ย This is cranberry strawberry mulberry and cranberry goji berry ชิมสิแคนเบอร์รี่ตางกินได้นะคนนี้มันเบอร์รี่แคนเบอร์รี่
ได้ตามที่พ่อแม่
This is cacao powder คาคาโอเค
ก่อนเฮ้ยไม้เราไม่ได้ลงจากรถเลย
ยาซีที่ไหนนะเนี่ยก็ต้องใส่กล้วยนะใส่นี่
ใช่ไหม
This is chia seed chia seed
กุญแจเราอยู่บนตู้กระจกนะแกเปิดใจ
เข้าไป and pea protein P protein 1 2โอเคไม่นิ้ว What time is it now 2 p.m.
They don't know the difference between real money and fake money. So this is a very important lesson here. I have some two friends here for years. And like I said, Dana Samuelson of American Gold Exchange in Austin, Texas. This is a special category of silver. It's called numismatic. And numismatic means collectible and antique.
numismatic
And the reason I respect Dana is because he was head of the American Numismatics. So I don't buy numismatics, I don't buy collectible coins. I buy real gold, silver. But if I want numismatic, like an antique Dodge or something, whatever it is, I want an antique coin, I see Dana, because there's a lot of fakes out there, a lot of fake coins. So you got to be very careful today. But like I said, this is the hottest subject of all. I have two great friends here. So Jim, and this is Charles Coyette here. This is his book here, red and blue and broke all over, and this. So how long have you been in this business of gold?
50 years.
50 years. Our time is coming in this one, isn't it?
Well, I thought it was coming in 1973 when I got into business. And it was just a year and a half or so after Nixon had removed the gold. And we went off the gold standard.
This was the dollar was backed by this here. This is real gold. So in 71, this was pulled out too, right?
Right.
You could just print as much as you like.
It was no longer backed by anything. It was a Federal Reserve note, which is no more federal than Federal Express. And we were required to take that as money, whether we liked it or not.
Right. Another thing too, I was in Vietnam in 71, I was on my way over. 72, I was there. In 73, I returned. I bought my first gold coin. It was a South African Krugerrand. And the Vietnamese woman, gold was $35 for years. And then in 71, it floated to about 50, let's say. And so I thought, well, I go talk to her. She was behind enemy lines. I flew a helicopter in there, tried to negotiate with her. I said, look, I'll give you 40 of these for one of these. And she's going, spot. I go, I said, look at it, 40 of these for one of these. She goes, spot. I said, what the hell is she talking about? Well, she was saying spot that day was 50. And all of a sudden here, I'm a college graduate, hopefully, with my other college graduate, two pilots standing there going, we don't know shit about money, do we? So spot me on that day, it was $50. And I thought because she was behind enemy lines, I could get it for 40. No such deal. Gold is gold. Spot is spot. Silver is silver. This is real money. So, Mr. Goyette, Charles, why did you write this? Tell us about your background. Why did you write this book here?
Well, one thing is, Jim and I were in the business together a very long time ago that he was talking about. But you just reminded me about Spot. I remember seeing a National Geographic special. This is back in the 70s. And they went to these guys, these kind of like a third worlders in the Amazon rainforest, way deep in the jungle. And these people didn't have any clothes, didn't have any electricity, didn't have, but they were panning for gold there.
Yeah.
And the camera crew came up and tried to buy their gold, and they knew what the London goldfish was that day. They totally knew what the world price of gold was, spot price of gold, because it's international, it's all over the world, and it's a real price for real money, isn't it?
Yeah, the sad thing about it is I think Americans are the least that know about money.
Yeah.
Because we are the Federal Reserve. Now, I'll tell you one last time. I was in Peru. I bought a gold mine in Peru. And there was these holes going on. There's no rain. There's just barren hills, mountains out in the Andes. And I see these little holes up there. I go, what the hell's that, And my little Inca guide says, we've been drilling for oil here for thousands of years, asshole. I said, I'm not the first guy up here. No, you're not the first guy up here. My great grandfathers been yanking this stuff out for years.
Yeah.
And that's when Pizarro came to Peru and killed them all, took their gold.
Stole their gold. Yeah.
Right. That's where the Spanish became the empire of the time. So it went from Spain, England, America. America's gone now. So that's what we're here to talk about today and we're old enough, the three of us, to understand that this here is real and this here is fake. But the most people would rather have this. This is the problem.
Robert, I saw one of those YouTube videos where the guy's on the boardwalk in Santa Monica. It's kind of like jaywalking, what's the name of the moon? The moon. Yeah. But he's walking around with a chocolate bar and a silver coin. And he says to the people, he said, would you rather have this chocolate bar or I think it was a silver bar?
Silver bar. It was Mark Dice.
Yeah. And the people go, no, I'll take that chocolate bar. So you get a $2 chocolate bar, or
it's a 10-ounce silver bar.
Yeah, 10-ounce silver bar,
$300
worth of silver.
And they'd rather have the chocolate bar than the silver bar.
No better. It's jaywalking America.
Yeah, and I'll say this again. It's the most important lesson. Poor people don't know the difference between real money and fake money, and that is what it comes down to. So it was in 71, this used to be a silver certificate. Now it's a Federal Reserve IOU. It used to be backed by gold up to, this was 64, excuse me, it was silver. And then in 71, Nixon took the gold out of it. Johnson took this out of the silver certificate.
Yeah, I remember I was telling that story the other night. I remember in 1964, where we're sitting around the TV, Johnson came on and said, silver has become too valuable to be used as money. And just as I'm sitting here, my dad said, that son of a bitch. They're going to take the silver out and they're going to leave us this garbage coin.
Yeah.
And he didn't really understand it, but he got it. And from that point on, he saved silver coins. The store he had about $8,000 worth by the time he cashed them in 1980.
Yeah. And I was in South Carolina where I was home. And this guy said that his father ran the theater. And his father said they're just yanking out all the silver coins. The lesson again is poor people don't know there's real money and fake money. And that's why in Rich Dad Poor Dad I said the rich don't work for money because it's fake. So the reason I like to have Jim here and Charles is because this stuff is getting harder to find right now. And I was panicking because I deal with a lot of guys who have gold and silver. And so I called my friends and we cannot get silver. I went, what? This is about, 7-8 months ago. We couldn't get silver. So you guys are Republic Monetary Exchange. Yeah, on Camelback. I called these guys, yeah, we got plenty.
Jim has been very, very good over the years at making sure that the inventories are high. You know, he can see when these runs are starting and stuff, and the premiums are starting to go up and stuff. And he's always put his clients first. You know, and make sure, okay, we're going to commit a lot of capital to make sure that our clients can come in the door and get their gold and silver. You know, the worst thing in the world is, you know, these companies that say, well, give us your money now, and then, you know, we're going to deliver your gold, or we're going to send you your silver in 6 months or something. Don't do that. Don't do that. So Jim's just really created a name for himself in his ability to always deliver to his clients.
Well, I've always stayed ahead of the curve, that you can anticipate needs after 50 years in the business.
Well, not everybody can, because I was panicking. I was going, you know, because explain the difference. Okay, well, step back. You have the spot price. So let's say today the spot's $20. There's a premium on top of this coin, or this coin, should I say. What does the spot and the premium mean?
On that particular coin, it's typically between $4 and $5 an ounce over the
So
spot
spot
price.
is the price all across the world.
Right, and then all of the products and coins and bars and so forth, they will be priced accordingly based on the availability, the demand, the cost of refining and putting them in the coins and shipping and distributor markup, dealer markup, our markup, and all that. So there's always a premium that you pay to get the finished product.
That's like the tip at the end of the dinner. I was watching.
It was worse than that.
Yeah, I was watching Fox News this morning, Fox Business, and they were bitching about how she went. Where did she go? She went to the dry cleaners, and she charged her. She put it on a credit card for her dry cleaning. It's a tip 20%. She goes, "Why do I have to tip you for my dry cleaning?" People are so desperate to money because this is fake. It's terrible.
I want to use this. Hello, nice to meet you. Welcome to my channel. Yay!
Well, because they can print it so much that the value is dropping every day. They print billions every day, or they've got to create something through a keystroke entry. That means all the rest of those Federal Reserve notes out there become worth just that much less every day.
Yeah, this is trash. So I'll say it again, the difference between rich people and poor people. Rich people know the difference between this and this. And so the Republic Monetary Exchange, there's a lot of people out there. Dana Samuelson, my friend, is my expert in numismatic. And I was impressed because you guys had inventory. My other friend, Jerry Williams, was out. And I said, what the hell? This is a while ago. What the hell's going on? It was running. So it must mean there's something going on, because people would rather have this.
Okay, turn off notification. I love to eat this strawberry.
Than this now, except for the ladies at Safeway.
But they know now.
I don't know. It fried their brains. Why would I give you $2 for that? And I said, that's the riddle of the day, ladies. And they were laughing, we had a great time, you know, but it fried their brains. I said, what? And I said, I have a book here for you, it's called Fake. And this whole system is fake right now. So we come back, we're going more into how people lie, cheat, and steal, because, you know, anytime there's money, there's liar, cheater, and stealer around there. And I say to you, I've been saying this for years, this is God's money, this is fake money. I like Bitcoin, I call it people's money. Now, I don't know much about Bitcoin, but I'm just glad I bought it at 6. That's all I know right now. So we come back with one more, how you can know real money from fake money, some of the other advantages of right now. I've been saying this for years. I used to work for Lear, still have Lear Capital Lands. I said, buy silver. And the reason is everybody can afford this. Everybody in the world can afford $30, but they'd rather have this. And that's today's Rich Dad lesson. We'll be right back.
The average time to hire for most organizations is 30 to 45 days. Are you tired of the costly and lengthy hiring process? Simplify and speed up your recruitment by using the experts at Express Employment Professionals. Reduce time to hire, cut down on multiple interviews, and lower your recruitment costs. Whether you're looking for contract workers or new team members, our streamlined recruiting, candidate screening, and hiring process is more efficient than hiring on your own. Visit expresspros.com today. Haven't used a staffing company before? Make it more expensive near you and getting richer, inflating your savings while you're getting rid of the hiring support that you need. And Express Pros, years skyrocketing. This is what most people want. This is how the rich shield themselves. Or actually, inflating bells for God. Locally on those landscapes, visit whether you're looking for it and speed up your. Are you tired of the costly and lengthy hiring process? Simplify and speed up your recruitment by using the experts at Express Employment Professionals. Reduce time to hire, cut down on multiple interviews, and lower your recruitment costs. Whether you're looking for contract workers or new team members, our streamlined recruiting, candidate screening, and hiring process is more efficient than hiring on your own. Visit expresspros.com today. Haven't used a staffing company before? We know that you enjoy learning new things and keeping up with trends and efficiencies. Make a change this year with your hiring. Businesses are navigating a landscape that has never been more expensive or regulated. Start at expresspros.com to find the location near you. With more than 860 locally owned offices, you'll get the hiring support that you need at expresspros.com. Are you getting richer or poorer? Because right now, the rich are getting richer while everyone else falls behind. Why? Fake money. The government prints trillions of dollars, inflating your savings while the rich move their wealth into gold and silver. Gold is surging. Silver is skyrocketing. The smart money isn't waiting. They're getting out of dollars before the next crash. And here's what most people don't know. You can legally move your IRA or 401k into gold and silver, 100% tax and penalty free, with my friends at Priority Gold. This is how the rich shield themselves. They don't save fake dollars, they save real money. So don't wait. Get Priority Gold's free wealth defense guide now and see how the move of your savings into something real. Text GOLD to 24999 or go to PriorityGold.com right now. Text GOLD 24999 or visit PriorityGold.com and get your free, no obligation wealth defense guide. Because waiting makes you poor, taking action makes you rich.
Welcome back, Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. The good news about bad fake money. And again, we're talking about this stuff is fake and this is real money. We have friends, dear friends, this is Jim Clark from Republic Monetary here in Phoenix, Arizona. And Charles Goyette, he's his book, Red, White, and Blue, and Purple all over. We're going broke. And so you guys have been in the business for a while. I've been in the business 72, my first gold coin. I still have that gold coin.
Wow.
It's not stored in America though. It's stored someplace else.
Where is that? You don't have to tell.
I'm gonna open my blabbermouth on TV. That's like my attorney stands in front of this crowd. He says, "Yeah, I have a lot of gold. I keep it at home." I said, "Why don't you just tell everybody where to go? Why don't you just give them your address too?" You know, attorneys aren't the brightest. That's like my. attorney stands in front of this crowd. He says, "Yeah, I have a lot of gold. I keep it at home." I said, "Well, why don't you just tell everybody where to go? Why don't you just give them your address too?" Attorneys aren't the brightest guys.
Well, I have strangers that will ask me, "Now, where should I store this?" I said, "I don't know, and I don't care."
Well, don't tell me. Because did you know? Well, so Jed, tell us about what you have right here. You have silver and you have gold.
So I have a kilogram of silver, which is 32.15 ounces, and then I have a 10-ounce gold bar. And of course, when you see something that big, how do I know that's real? So we have a device, it's a spectrometer, that we can put, that x-rays the bar, and I've got it all set up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna point the device at the silver, and I'm gonna get a reading. Put it on there maybe 4 or 5 seconds. It will read right into the bar. It'll come back, and if you can pick that up, right on the screen, it says AG, which is the chemical sign for silver, 99.99% pure. You know that this bar is absolute.
Is there such a thing as fake silver? They
Yes,
caught some
you can
not
see it.
too long ago. They caught some.
There were some companies years ago that were making the silver and gold, and it wasn't coming out exactly pure. And what happens then is, if we find that, we just throw it in the melting pot and then bring it up to pure, because you don't want to sell a bar that's 95% pure. So it's out there, which is why we spent $20,000 on this piece of equipment that we can find a counterfeit bar. If it's not pure gold, we know right then, and this has paid for itself many times over, because so many times somebody will come in and say, "Well, hey, I've got this big block of gold and I want to sell it." Okay, let's have a look at it. You go through it, it's pyrite, or it's copper, or it's zinc.
Jim
Let's
Records
silver.
was telling in the New York bank. He says they found some fake silver. So
Well, the bigger the bar, the better chance that there is. So I'm gonna do the same thing with this gold, just because that's really the valuable. In a $20,000 piece of metal, you want to make sure that it's what it's supposed to be. Same thing. We come up, AU, gold, 99.99% pure, which is exactly what it's supposed to be.
What would this cost me if I walked into your place, Republic Monetary Exchange, on Camelback Road in Phoenix, Arizona? What would that cost me?
Just over $900
For that?
kilogram. Yeah.
My God, and how much is this thing here?
That's going to be around over 2,000, 2,050 or more.
Get the, this is 2,000. This is a gold. What is it?
Eagle, American Gold
American
Eagle.
Gold Eagle, and that's 900.
Right, that's a kilogram of silver. This is going to be close to $20,000 for this gold.
What is that now?
10 ounces of gold.
That feels like real money, doesn't it, Robert?
I trade you this for this.
Well, we'll get 20,000 more though.
You're a little light.
Actually, on that subject, we were talking about this the other night, Robert, about cash for gold. I'm one of the few people who absolutely despise cash for buying gold. You'd think just the opposite, that I couldn't wait to get cash. But banks don't want it. Try and deposit $20,000 or $50,000 in cash. They'll turn you away and say, "Well, we got to do this, that, and the other, and we've got to file this form, or we got to do that." I would rather have a bank wire than cash anytime.
Jim's story really illustrates something.
But he doesn't want cash, and I thought the reason is because it might be dirty, or it's hot money, or whatever it is. It's just a pain in the butt.
Well, it's that, but you know what else? I'm thinking down the road. Let's say I acquire $1 million or $2 million in cash that the banks don't want to take. When this currency is repudiated, I'm going to be stuck. Just like.
Repudiated.
Like the people in Germany were twice in the 20th century that they were hauling wheelbarrows full of Deutschmarks for a basket of groceries.
And that's fake money brought Hitler to power. The Weimar Republic, and the Reichsmark, and all this. Every time there's fake money, tyrants rise up. because people know. Oh, something is wrong.
Yep. And so here we go in this country.
Right.
You know, but Jim's attitude now about cash really illustrates that the government, the deep state, has won this war without legislation, without public debate. They have won the war against cash. You know, they've been at war at cash because it's anonymous, that they don't track you, they can't follow you when you use cash, and they've won the war.
Yeah.
And so the only alternative people have to be off the grid, not to be tracked, not to be surveilled, gold and silver. That's it. That's all.
So once again, this is 1964. 1964, I was 17 years old. I started looking at that thing like this. It was copper. The Romans did the same thing way back in the end of their empire. So what were they doing when they put copper in this thing? The law called Gresham's Law. What does Gresham's Law mean?
Bad money drives good money out of circulation.
So this money went into hiding. So I had bags of it. I used to go caddy, take my dollars, go to the bank, and pull out all the real stuff. And hide the real stuff. I didn't know what I was doing. I was 17 years old. You know, I wasn't the brightest kid on the block, but I just knew this was fake. I mean, this was fake now. And then I come back from school a year later, and my mother spent it. So the lesson is, that was a powerful lesson. AARP turned it down. They says, you're cruel to your mom. And I went, so okay. I said, anyway, is poor people don't know real money from fake money. So what happened in 781, this became debt. So I'm in our company, our Rich Dad, we encourage people to use debt. You know, this is my other friend here. He's a financial planner who doesn't recommend the 401k. John McGregor says the top 10 reasons why the rich go broke. And one of the reasons they go broke is that they don't have a plan for the money, but they have no idea what money is.
Well, and I've talked to people all the time that are multimillionaires. They sold their business, they did this, that, and the other, and it came into all this cash that's sitting in the bank, and said, "Well, you think I should buy some gold with some of this?" And I said, "Well, you know what they're doing with the dollar. You know that they keep printing them. They can't print gold. Now, tell me how much you can afford to lose of all that money sitting in the bank." And I would say, leave that there and get the rest of it in gold. It's a bigger risk having paper money.
It's a guaranteed loss.
And eventually, these are going to be worthless. And we're in the 51st year of fiat money when Nixon closed the gold window. A currency has never lasted more than 50 years until now. And we're in year 51. How are we any different? Look what they've done in Venezuela. They were one of the richest countries in South America and actually the Western Hemisphere. Look what they've done to Argentina. Look what they've done in Cuba. Look what they've done in Mexico. They have the same exact economic principles that they broke there. We're doing the same thing here.
Somebody asked me once, how many paper currencies have gone broken, gone worthless over time? And the answer is all of them.
All of them.
And the ones that people still hold are only on their way. They just haven't arrived at their final destination yet.
It's like I said, I'm 17 years old in 1964 going, something's wrong here. That's Gresham's Law. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm a rich person is I know real from fake. And then, so when Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard in 71, I didn't really know what that meant, but the first course, I was in Vietnam in 73, I came back. 74, they made this legal. Remember that? It was illegal. So I had to smuggle that damn crude. I was in Hong Kong.
Except it was in 74.
Yeah.
Because it was illegal to own in bullion form. And
Well, in 73 about it.
Yeah, but
It was a felony. It was a felony. put you in prison for 10 years and charge you $10,000 fine. They made it a felony for Americans, free people, to own monetary gold and silver.
Yeah.
Or gold anyway. It was a felony. Was it dangerous? Was it going to blow up? Was it nuclear contamination? Was it kill your neighbors with poison? What was wrong? Well, it was, of course, the answer is always the same answer. The government grabs all the gold because it wants it for itself, so you can't be allowed to have any. It's exactly what they did.
At that time, there were two very good senators, Steve Sims and Jesse Helms, who
Senator.
introduced the idea of Americans owning gold because foreigners could own gold and Americans couldn't. And if there's anything to be said good about Gerald Ford, it was that he signed the bill after it passed through both houses to make gold legal to own. Now, unfortunately, at the time gold was around $200 an ounce, and over the next year and a half or so, it dropped to $100. So a lot of the curiosity of owning gold disappeared. But fast forward to the Jimmy Carter days, 1976, gold went to $100, and by the end of Carter's term, it was $8.50.
Yeah.
Silver went from about $3 an ounce to $50 an ounce in that 4-year period.
So during Carter's term, this was $8.50. What is this today?
2050.
So why would you save this trash? That's what I'm saying here.
It's fake. How about that, to sum it up? That's fake.
It's a trick.
Another thing I want to say, because I'm a history buff, that's about the only subject I did well in school. The reason he doesn't even like the 401k is in 1974 when Ford put us back on, we could own gold. They put us onto 401k, ERISA Act, and today this is the biggest reason you want to own gold. Because our pensions, as we keep raising interest rates, our 401ks are going down. But not only this, is my book wrote the Ed Siddell, is our pensions are broken. So it's firefighters, police officers, school teachers, their pensions are gone. So the Fed's going to have to print. That's my whole summation.
Well, and what's crazy about it too is that you get your statement online every month, and it says, "Oh my God, look, I have $500,000 in my pension plan. Boy, that's going to last me until the year 2050." It's not going to. The dollar's not going to be there, first of all, and the pensions are gone too. But gold will be there forever.
This is God's money. I mean, we use that money for about 5,000 years, but God put it here on the earth, and that.
เงินบ้านพี่เตยได้ 4,000 นะครับเราไอ้นั่นน่ะตัวเติมเงิน
เนื้อส่งไปในไลน์
โอเค
That's when I was in the Andes with my old Inca friend. I said, "Geez, look at those holes." He says, "Yeah, we've been digging for a long longer than you have, you know." And I was in Mongolia, same thing. There's a place called the checkerboard. But they call it checkerboard because the Mongolians, this is thousands of years ago, were digging for gold. Now, they didn't have internet, they didn't have iPhones and all this stuff. Humans intuitively knew to look for gold. That's what blew me away. Well, two last things, okay? There's a thing called distribution and accumulation. Price of gold. Silver is low, and silver and gold oil, I'm accumulating. I've been accumulating since 72. I own more gold than most people, most of the gurus on TV. I own gold mines, silver mines.
because I believe in this stuff, because this is God's money. This is fake money. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rob. Pleasure to be here.
Welcome back, Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. Thanks to Jim Clark, Republic Monetary Exchange, RME, and Charles Goyette, Republic Monetary Exchange, because this is the hottest subject of all today. It's silver and gold, because this is fake. And if you have friends and family who are still hoarding this stuff here, have them listen to this program and discuss it with them, because they'll, I'm now called the salad bar guru. And I thought it was hysterical, but it fried their brains. I mean, wow, what's the difference between this and this? One's fake, one's real. I bought considerable amounts from Dana in Austin, Texas, and he traded out my gold eagles for regular gold. And I said, why? He goes, I don't know, but he says, you just made a lot of money. So I got, like, instead of having 10 ounces of gold, I now had 15 ounces of gold, but just because one went from eagles to something else. All I want is the ounce of gold, and as long as it's pure, I don't really care. But some people do, right? Final word, Mr. Goyette.
Hey, thanks for having us on again, Robert.
Wait, this is your book here. Come plug the book.
And it's about Reddit movement broke all over and how the country is broke all over, and this exact story you've been trying to explain to people for a very long time, and now here we are.
The other thing we do is I send out a newsletter every week, a blog basically, that gives a synopsis of what's going on the past week and maybe what we're seeing down the road, and just keeping clients and prospects informed of how we see the market. And I encourage people to go to our website, rmegold.com, and you can sign up for the newsletter. There's no charge. We email it out every Sunday afternoon or Monday morning whenever we put the finishing touches on it. I would encourage people to sign up for that at rmegold.com.
So thank you very much, gentlemen, and thank you all for listening to the Rich Dad Radio Show. Remember, this is fake and this is real.
People always ask me what it's like to be rich and have FU money. What it really buys you most is time. That's actually what it really buys you, because money is what it really buys you most is time. That's actually what it really have FU money. What it really, people always ask me what it's like to be rich and have FU money. What it really buys you most is time. That's actually what it really buys you, because money is really a claim on labor. That's what it is. So if you have to go to work every day for money because you have to pay for something, that's a claim on your time. That's what it really is. So when you don't have that anymore, there's quite a bit of freedom. It's obviously financial freedom, but it's just pure freedom to be able to go work out, go spend time with people you love, go hang out, go play golf, go travel. Then, of course, sitting on a beach also becomes kind of boring. A lot of people do it. They look for like months away for 2 weeks. But it's nice to know that you can go anytime, whenever you want. Financial freedom is not having to worry about where your money's coming from and making it work for you. So the whole point of money is to actually invest it so that it is making money for you while you're sleeping or awake or whatever. The big issue is generational wealth, passing it on to other people. So what happens a lot of times, like somebody wins the lottery, or maybe they get a welfare check, and I'm not banging on welfare because it's certainly needed in this country in many, many things. But what happens is when you give somebody money, even your kids, then all of a sudden they don't appreciate it. They don't appreciate not having it. And that fire inside of them starts to dim down because they expect it. And, a lot of people call that entitlement, whatever you want to call it. But the reality is That's actually the biggest problem for people that have a lot of money, is because most people that I know at least are self-made. There's three kinds of people with money. The first ones are what we call W-2s. So those would be high-paid corporate jobs, and maybe they have a piece of some company, but they're really not in control of their outcome, their financial future. Now, they can make good decisions around that, but they're really just employed by somebody else. Who you want to be is the business owner. And that typically is oftentimes a self-made person. And that's the person that's going to make the most. That's actually what you want to be. And then the third one gets no respect. That's what I call lucky sperm. That is the son of or the daughter of, somebody that's wealthy or got passed over. I'm not saying that those people can't do something with that money, but generally what they do is they stop working and they start living off of it. And then soon they run out. And it's precisely why people that win the lottery go out and buy houses and cars and all that kind of stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. Soon they run out of money, or they've invested it poorly because they don't know the right question to ask, the right people to invest it with, and the right things to do in order to have that money return more money. So the whole game is to make money and then invest it correctly and make that money work for you to provide a lifestyle that you want. So the whole goal always is never to touch the actual money itself. Only play with the money that's made from that money. So you never want to dig into your base money. You always want to just have a lifestyle that's based on what that money makes. That way you're never eroding the base. So there's been several benchmarks for me as I was a
benchmarks.
A young man. The first number was just merely covering my operational expenses. And at the time, of course this is going way back, that was about $3,000 a month. So all I needed was about $3,000 a month in pack covering my operational expenses. And the first number was just merely covering my operational expenses. And at the time, of course this is going way back, that was about $3,000 a month. So all I needed was about $3,000 a month in passive income to be able to cover my monthly expenses. So at that point, you are technically financially free. So if that's not coming from a paycheck, let's say, and it's coming from some other sources, maybe a small business, or maybe some investments, or maybe a carried interest that you started with a business, or some real estate or something like that, if that money's coming in, then you are financially free. You can continue to work if you love what you do. That's not a problem. Nobody's ever saying you shouldn't work. What they're saying is you just don't want to be tied to that work. You don't want to have to be reliant on that work. The worst case is if you think about it, are like, let's say, a doctor or a CPA or a lawyer or even a realtor. They're basically working for tips and commissions. Think about it. A realtor is transactional. They list something, they sell something, they get a one-time hit, like a drug addict, and then it's gone until the next thing. And so they're constantly on this treadmill to try to do deals. And so what happens is, as your lifestyle gets bigger, and you want nice cars like the Speedster or a jet like we're on now that my partner Ross and I own together. When you get to those things, then your bar just moves. Then it goes to 10 grand a month. Then it goes to 20 grand a month. Then it goes to 100 grand a month. One thing I never do is I never go in debt unless I have a way to pay for that. So for me, it's rental property. So we have 10,000 tenants paying us each and every month, and we have millions of dollars of cash. Flow coming in each and every month. So that allows us to do all kinds of cool stuff. So there's different stages of wealth and there's different stages of people that make money. So the first stage, of course, is just saving, putting money away and covering your expenses. The next stage, which you guys probably see a lot, especially on YouTube and Instagram and all that, are the folks that are buying these cars and renting jets. That's kind of the next stage. Well, that's not sustainable. You know, that's good for social media. But when you actually buy a jet and you actually have the operational cost for the pilot, let's say, who's right in front of me here, and all the costs of the jet, including fuel and all that kind of stuff, you know, you really need to have $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a month coming in just to cover the jet. The actual purchase of a jet is actually not as important as the monthly operating costs of that jet. So you can buy a jet for say $10 million, and you can finance it. So you can put $1 million or $2 million down if you want it. But to run that jet is going to be $50,000, $60,000 a month. So you have to be in a position to have a company pay for that, or you pay for that. The right way to pay for that operating cost of a jet, let's say, would be from passive income. The number for people to obtain complete financial freedom varies depending on the individual itself. Some people that are married, let's say, they both work in corporate jobs, and then they have $2, $3, $4 million, let's say, saved up in net worth. They might say, I'm financially free. There's multiple levels above that. When you start to travel the world and you start to buy jets and you start to go places and go to things that you would want that cost a lot of money, like $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 weekends. So those kinds of things cost a lot of money. Like I'm going to the Olympics in August, and it's going to be a very expensive weekend. I'm going to go to a UFC fight in June, and that's going to be a $30,000 or $40,000 weekend when you add up the jets and the tickets and the hotel rooms and all those kinds of things. So there's always a different level of things that you will have, and the way to compensate all of that is just to continue to grow your passive income over a long period of time, because as I said earlier, what you want is you want your real estate assets or your business assets to kick off enough cash to be able to pay for all of this stuff. You never want to dip into the base money. You always ought to be focused on what that money actually returns. So there's multiple levels of net worth. You're not going to own a jet if you're, let's say, under $10 million of net worth. You're literally still going to fly commercial in most cases, maybe private from time to time, and you're going to be passing that money over to your kids at some point. You have to be well over that into the 20, 30, 40, $50 million, even upwards of $100 million. And then when you get to there, what happens? You just buy bigger jets. You can buy jets that can fly over the ocean, those kinds of things. So there's always a bigger game somewhere, always. The major cons of having a lot of money is everybody wants it. So The charities want it, you know, your family wants it, your kids want it, and of course, all kinds of friends always are asking for it to start businesses or even just loans. This happens to me constantly, and all my friends are in the exact scenario. What happens is when you start to make a lot of money, it gets recognized, then people come with their hand out looking for it for some reason. There's always a reason. And then the biggest one, in my opinion, is passing it on to a generation that is not ready to accept it. That's the biggest one. The second generation appreciates the first generation money, but the third generation almost always loses it. If I was to boil it down, it's because the third generation is going to grow up with the second generation who already grew up with wealth. Typically, the first generation grew up with nothing, and so they have a harder work ethic, and they appreciate where they've come from, and they pass it over to the second generation who always grew up with it, and then they have kids, and they never actually got to see some of those core things that the first generation had to do, some of the scrapping it out to make a business work, some of the highs and the lows. That can happen from building a company. They never saw that. All they ever saw was the second generation actually had the money and they were raised in that environment. The second generation is entitled, but the third generation is very entitled. And they typically don't have the fire or the work ethic like the first generation. So I know this might seem overwhelming, but I just did a video with my best advice that might help anyone start or scale to $1 billion company. You can watch that here. Like the first generation. So I know this might seem overwhelming. So everyone asks me, how do you build $1 billion company? Here's how you build $1 billion company. The first step is to make sure that it cash flows at 1 million. So you never start with $1 billion company in mind. You always start with